Hello and welcome to my video lecture on control statements. In this case, we're going to start with the if statement primarily. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up some if statements in our PHP block, and we're going to reference the contents of a variable in our HTML. So let's start off. So I'm going to start off with creating a couple of variables, right? So I'm going to start off with message, and I like to do everything lowercase. I'm going to start off with message, or actually probably better off starting with our if statement. So I'm going to do an if statement. If statements start with the if keyword, and then they have a curly brace. Actually, they test a condition using a paren. So we're going to test something. In previous videos, we went over a couple of different function calls, so we're going to revisit that. So we're going to test isSet. Again, if I can spell right. So we're going to test isSet, and we're going to test first name. So we're testing first name. Now, depending on whether or not first name is set, the following bit of code will get executed. And actually, I see an error message, and that's because we are missing a closing paren. So now, if first name is set, I'm going to set message. I'm going to set message equal to a string, and that string will be yes, indeed, string first name is set. All right, now we'll end that with a semicolon. So that's our first statement, and actually I don't have to add that in a semicolon. Let's see what we have here. I am expecting, I think I will put the semicolon in there. Let's see what that does. Yeah, we're expecting, I like to use semicolons at the end of, or you need to use semicolons at the end of PHP code. So there's my semicolon, and if first name is set, I'm going to see what message is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this down, my little span in the middle of my HTML, and I'm going to use whatever's in this message to display that to the user on my HTML page. So whatever's in message is going to be displayed. So let's save that, go to my browser window where I had a previous version of my index.php, and I reset that, and it gives me the message that yes, indeed, first name is set. So now let's try it with a different variable. Let's make a new variable called junk, and we'll set junk. We won't set junk at all. So junk is there, and now let's see if junk, what happens with junk when we do the is set. Okay, so there we are. I'm going to save that. I'm going to go to my web browser. I'm going to run, and then it basically says that there is an undefined variable. So we haven't defined this variable. A lot of times the isSet is used when you're getting variables from other files and you want to check to see if they've been set or not. In this case, this variable hasn't been set to anything. So let's do this. Let's get rid of that. Let's save that and see how it reacts to a variable that we didn't set at all. And we get the same message. So an undefined variable message, oh, an undefined variable message in line 4. Oh, that's because here I'm trying to reference the message variable and it doesn't exist. Let's put junk back in here. All right. So now we've got junk back and we're testing that. Now obviously this didn't pass the test, the if test. So this is the expression that's being tested by if. is set is not coming back as true, so we're not setting anything into message. So what we can do is we can set up an else. So here we'll do an else, and the else is followed by curly braces, and then we can just copy this code out. Big fan of copying and pasting. And we can say that no, first name is not set. Oh, and in both these cases, we might as well change that message because we're dealing with junk now. Well, the variable junk, you know what I mean. So here we are, right? We've got our variable is here, but we haven't set it to anything. So let's see what happens when we do our test. No, junk is not set. So you can see how it reacts when we do different things to it. So here's our is set. We're testing it. So now let's see how this reacts when we have an empty string. And it is indeed set. It's set to an empty string. So it is set to something. Let's go back up here. And we'll set it equal to null. And see how that affects the isSet function. We'll run that, and no. So a null is going to come back when you're using the isSet function as not being set. So that comes back false. And then if we actually set it to a value, we've seen that basically already. If we set it to junk, it's obviously set. So then when we refresh the page, yes, indeed, junk is set. Let's see what happens when we don't have a junk variable to even test. So if I just comment this line out, I save that. Let's see what that does with that. So there you can see junk is not set. It doesn't give you an error that the variable isn't there like we got before when we were looking for message. So set tries to find a variable. If it doesn't find the variable, isSet realizes that it's not set, and we can do our testing and give our messages to our users. So that is the end of my video presentation on the use of the if control structure. Obviously, there are all sorts of things that you can test. You can test basically anything, and we'll do that in subsequent videos.